Okay. So today we have a very important guest. We're a merchant processing company, correct? So a lot of people have been they've been requesting this training on the specifics on merchant processing. And more specifically, what is our competitive advantage when we're going out talking to a merchant, okay? So we went out and we got someone to help us with that training. This individual has been working in the industry for over 10 years, and he has shown me the results. I always say documentation beats conversation, correct? So he has shown me how he has been able to build up his residual income with clients that he's had in his book of business for over 10 years. So I want to welcome Mr. Jim Cassidy, who's going to help us out with this very specific merchant processing knowledge.
Hello, how's everybody today? I'm Jim Cassidy, as you mentioned, and I just want to come up and share just a little bit today. There's a lot of nuts and bolts to the industry. I'm not used to the wireless thing yet, so it's going to take me a minute. I don't like people around my pocket, you know what I'm saying? Even if they have more money than me. All right. Okay, let's see if this works. So just a little bit of my background. I'm not a suit and tie guy, and especially on Saturday. How many of you people out there are salespeople? All right, there's a few weirdos in every crowd. I learned that one yesterday. That's actually what I am too. I have dabbled in the relationship marketing side of business. I have a business right now, actually. I've preferred myself the business to business, day-to-day stuff. I've been doing that for a long time. I didn't work a long time, a lot of years to get a pension like a lot of my friends did. I wondered why I wasn't doing that because they were all set for life. We found out today that's not really the truth. And so meeting my years of experience in distributors, suppliers, wholesalers, I've owned my own business as a manufacturer of headwear. I've done screen printing and embroidery, and most recently I've become part of the merchant services world about 12 years ago. Started off working for a big company as an employee rep, and left that a while back and started my own company. I'm now what you would consider an agent, and I met some new friends through Lucrazon, and it's exciting. It's an exciting adventure they've taken here. Back to the suit and tie thing. The reason I'm wearing a suit and tie is because I'm working financial now. I'm no longer a screen printer or embroiderer, so I have to have a certain persona. I'm asking people, whether they're my friend, my brother, my mom, to show me their financial information for their business, basically, in a nutshell. I'm asking them to show me how much money they make in their business. And so that's where the difference is between what I used to do and what I do today. If you don't mind, I'd like to strip this down to my shorts and t-shirt. No, I'm just kidding. Totally kidding. Also, you might wonder why I'm wearing a Christmas tie. A lot of people think the color of money is green. I prefer to think of it as red. And I think you'll agree with me. When you leave here today, I want you to take a look at the companies you see, the billboards, Carl's Jr., Target. How many of them are green? Not many. Most of them are what color? Yeah, red hat thing. I learned this from a wise man one time. And so to me, this represents money. I also have my phone painted gold because it's not a cold call, it's a gold call. So I do little things that help me. I'm just giving you some little hints and tidbits today to take home with you so that if you get nothing else out of this, at least you have a new attitude about the way you look at things. My clock in the morning, as my friend Zig Ziglar says, is not an alarm clock. It's what? Anybody know? An opportunity clock. Exactly. Why? Because the more I sleep, what am I not doing? Not working. No, I don't use that word working. I don't like that word. I'd rather say twerking. But I use the word talking to people, right? Because I have to talk to a certain amount of people every day, or what happens? Even the people that are my customers, if I don't call them once in a while, are they going to think I'm still around? That's one of the things, the advantages that Lucrazon has, is that merchant services, a lot of times you work for a business that tells you dictates to you how to do the rates. and what your policies are. When I worked for the corporate company, I could only go down a certain amount on my rate structure because I had to make the company a certain amount of money. Now, as an individual, I can pretty much do whatever I want. That's the opportunity that Lucrazon gives you, is it gives you the opportunity to do a rate structure. Obviously, you don't want to be underwater, because if they're not making money and you're not making money, who does that help, right? So that's one of the benefits of working with a Lucrazon scenario. Also, they bring in a lot of compartments to it. E-commerce. A lot of times as a merchant processor, I don't mess with e-commerce. I don't mess with companies' websites because I don't have to. I just set them up with the gateway, the engine that runs that website, and I get money. Now, just so you know, I'm volunteering today, which I'm working with them to do some more training, some more deep nuts and bolts training, because there is a little bit to this industry. But I'm getting paid right now to volunteer. Why? Because every time one of my customers swipes a credit card, I'm getting some money. I get paid at the end of the month on all those accounts I have. I showed, like Wences mentioned, I have one of my companies I work with right now, I've built up a $7,000 residual. That means that I'm making $7,000 a month no matter what. And hopefully when they do more business, I make more business. Obviously, I want them to improve their business. So that's one of the beauties of this industry, is that residual income. Also, they mention a lot that they sell portfolios. A lot of companies, it takes a long time to build up a portfolio because a bank doesn't want to buy a small portfolio. It doesn't really help them. What they want is they want to buy consistent portfolios from companies they trust. So as you build up a merchant portfolio, then you can sell that portfolio at what we call a multiple, which is basically just getting paid in months. If I get paid 7 times or 24 times or 35 times or whatever it is, that bank is paying me out that amount of months in advance. So obviously they want that money to continue to come in so that they get paid back also, right? If I'm giving you 35 times on a portfolio, I'm banking that a lot of that money is going to come back to me for the next 35 months so I get my money back. Make sense? So that's another beauty of the Lucrazon program, is that you're not building the portfolio yourself. You actually have a group of people building it together, and the whole portfolio sells, and everybody gets a piece of it, right? So it happens a lot quicker. Some of the, I want to dispel just a few of the myths. I'm not going to tell you exactly how the rate structures work. I'm going to give you a little bit of ideas about how the competition is. How many of you have processed credit cards before or know anything about it? How many of you have merchant accounts right now? Good. So you kind of understand a little bit how it works, yeah? So basically, the merchant processing industry is the same for me as it is for Chase Bank, as it is for Wells Fargo, as it is for Bank of America, as it is for TSYS, any of these processors out there. That's the one nice thing in this industry, is there's a level playing field for everybody, no matter how big you are. It all starts off for retail at 1.51 and a dime for Visa. That's the cost. And then there's 11 basis points of assessment added onto that. And for MasterCard, it's 1.59 and a dime transaction fee, and 11 basis points added on for assessment, which is what MasterCard and Visa get. That is the true cost without any markup. We all have that. I have that. Chase Bank has that. There's not a lot of industries where you can compete. When I was in the headwear manufacturing industry, I was competing with China. China's making hats for $1 with 10,000 stitches around it. I was doing them in California for $7 with no embroidery. So that's not a level playing field. The beauty of the merchant services is I can go after any account locally, nationwide, that Chase Bank goes after, that Wells Fargo goes after. So it basically, in representation, it's a level playing field. I like that. I like those odds. That's a lot better for me. Might take me a little bit longer to get into Coca-Cola or somebody like these guys have without the big power behind me. But if I work it and I'm smart, I can do it. But I can also, I have a lot of friends and family that have businesses. They have friends and family. I start showing them I can save them money. I say, hey, why don't you tell your friends? So, and with the brand partner tied to it, now everybody has the incentive to help you with referrals. See, I was by myself for a lot of years. So I would have to make the calls, get the business, submit the application, which, by the way, in the industry generally takes 24 to 72 hours. The proprietary software that they're using today that they're speaking of takes 5 minutes. I've done it with some friends. I've seen it work. That means when I go take an application for approval, I have to then supply them with everything they ask for. Well, the social's wrong, this is wrong, that's wrong, blah, blah, blah. It's over and over and over. I just submitted one the other day. It took forever. These guys, you submit it on the computer with all the information they asked for, and you have an approval. They're set up and running their business within, well, let's just be devil's advocate, 10 minutes. That's pretty unique. That's pretty unique in the industry. And I think that's going to be huge for this company to take processing to the next level. I think that's pretty special. Yeah, go ahead and clap for that, because that's not anything in the industry that's out there right now. Let's see, just do any of you have questions about the industry real quick? I don't want to go too long here. Yeah.
I've always done phone calls, and when they talk about cancellation, I'm already locked in for 3 years.
Yeah.
Re-went in with my current provider.
Good question.
How do you
That's a great question. We'll get back to that one in a second. Anybody else? Okay, I'm sorry, I didn't quite understand that. So you have a company that has, like say a CPA that has multiple customers? Okay. Okay. As part of the portfolio? Now again, that part of the business I'm a little teeny bit new to, so I think you have a choice, but yeah.
So when we acquire merchant accounts, we have contracts. We'll do a 1-year contract, 2-year contract, 3-year contract. When we do the buyout or the sellout of the portfolio, the merchant is still being serviced the same way per the contract agreement, right? So business owners, first of all, they don't have to even know about the merchant portfolio sellout, because banks are not telling the business owners that that's happening. We don't have to do that either, because it doesn't affect their business. It doesn't affect their rate. Just to answer your question on that.
Okay. And any of these questions that aren't answered 100% to the way you think it should be, you always have the power to come up and talk to a leader and find out that information. Anybody else?
What are other factors in maintaining the portfolio? Say I have a portfolio of 10 merchant accounts.
Okay.
I need to maintain that over the next year, so I get that residual income, customer service. I need to call in the terminal break, or I need to understand their merchant statement, because Visa themselves would jack up rates twice a year. You know, those interchange rates fluctuate as well. What are those factors? And do you see Debunking really supporting us, you know, to be able to maintain a portfolio for the next year?
Exactly. Thank you. No, I'm just kidding. No, that's a great question. And actually, again, that's part of the myths that I'm going to debunk. The fact that the associations, most people don't know that, the associations convene in April and October every year. And that's when they determine Visa's making more money than us, we're going to raise this up. Or whatever it is, MasterCard and Visa, they get together at separate places, of course, because they're not the same company. And they determine, are we charging enough for credit cards based on risk? So if, for example, you know, in the old days there was one credit card. I think it was the B of A card. Bank of America had it. That was back in the 60s. Of course, I wasn't here. No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding. I've been doing a lot of it. But what they've discovered over the years, the banks have discovered, how can we get more money in people's pockets? Well, if I already have a credit card, what's the next advantage for the bank? Well, let's get them a rewards card. Why? Because now they're buying me toasters. They're giving me airline miles. They're taking me on trips. So what am I going to do? I'm getting 1% back on my spending. Okay, now we got 2 cards in their pocket. How can we get a third? Well, we got a business card. They got a business. Let's give them another card. Now also, I can add a purchasing card. So they have a business card, they have a rewards card, they have a personal credit card. Now I'm going to give them a card that their purchasing agent uses to buy product. I can use that based on certain SIC codes. I can buy certain products. We call it a P card. And there's advantages to that pricing too. So now I've got 5 cards as the bank in people's pockets. What's the advantage to the banks? I'm spending a whole lot of money I don't have. Yeah? And I'm getting 20% interest on it. That's good industry, yeah? So it's gotten a lot more complicated over the years. The first thing to answer your question is, you need to call your merchants once in a while and say hi. That's how I do it. Otherwise, like a lot of these companies, The agents disappear. They sign them up to a 3-year term agreement, a lease option for $4,000 on a terminal, stupid things, and they disappear. And people are unhappy about it. Why? Because it's not what I was promised. So you do need to keep in touch with them. You do need to call them once in a while. You'll learn as you go through merchant statements, because every time you get a merchant statement, when you submit it to Lucrazon, you should still look at it and learn it. I'm going to give you a couple things to write down while we're talking about that real quick. Visa.com, and there's a search box, and you type in interchange reimbursement fees. People don't know this. It will show you the rates, the mandated surcharge rates for all the cards. So just to give you a little mind freeze here, interchange reimbursement fees. Check the month and the year. If it doesn't say October 2013 or April 2013, it's the old one. Make sure you're, like he said, every October and every April it changes. So they put it up on the website like that. MasterCard's the same. If you go to mastercard.com, you'll find it. The rates are there. Nobody knows it. Why? Because I don't want to tell the merchants the rates are there, because I want to take all their money. I'm serious. That's one of the downfalls of the industry. So if you go there and study those rates, you will now know what Chase charges, what Wells Fargo charges. Then you'll see if you add your 11 points of assessment that I told you, and your 20 basis points that Lucrazon talks about, which is 0.20, 20th of a percent, that will tell you the actual rates. I show those to my merchants. Why? Because it builds trust. I call them every quarter. If I don't have, first couple months, I look at their statement with them to see if I actually saved them money, like Lucrazon says. And then I call them every quarter. Let's look at your statement. Why? For no other reason, just to let them know I'm still there and I care. Because they won't get charges like you're saying. It's not arbitrary every twice a year that they just raise rates. Once in a while, they'll raise a business card, or they'll raise, but what happens is the banks and the processors will raise those rates, and they'll blame Visa and MasterCard. So it looks like, yeah, because I'm smart. You guys don't know. If I raise your rates 5 basis points every April and every October, and I blame it on Visa, what are you going to do? That sucks, right? So you have to find out who's playing the game and where the numbers are coming from. So yes, call your customers, keep in touch with them, just like you would any other business. Let them know you're there, you care. Are you still saving money? I show my customers Visa.com. Why? So they can go there and see when the rate gets raised, it's not me. It's Visa. It truly is Visa. So, and we'll go into that more, the nuts and bolts and stuff. I'm working with Lucrazon right now to do more training so we can spend an hour just doing that stuff. Because it's not rocket science, but the banks have created an industry of rocket science, it looks like. So can I get an amen there? Amen. All right. Any more questions real quick?
Can you tell us the list of the fees that are involved in the average merchant?
I can tell you that there are a list of fees. Okay? And the reason I can't tell you what the list of fees is because as a processor, I can charge fees on a merchant account if I want to. There are a list of fees. There is interchange, there's assessment, there is, some of them charge fees for original cards. Some of them charge fees for voice auths. There's monthly fees for statements. There's tons of fees on there. And I tell merchants, you know what? Unfortunately, it's a convenience for your customers. I can't eliminate all the fees. It's just like anything else. But what I can do is I can educate you to learn about what the fees are, where they're coming from, how they're, and you can control now who's raising fees on you. So that if you're, let me give you an example. I just talked to a friend of mine, again, relationship marketing. He owns a bike shop. I talked to his partner. I don't want to go in there like, hey, I'm Joe's friend, you know, I know it all. So I just said, let me work with Steve and we'll see what we can do. So I talked to Steve. Steve's like, I never change anything. We've been with these guys for 10 years. I got a great rate. Everything's awesome. I said, well, let me just look at your statement and we'll see. Put him to the test. So he sent me over his merchant statement. He's being charged a front rate of 2.25. That's normal. He's being charged on top of that, instead of 30.30 for a rewards card, he's being charged 3%. So he's being charged 4.77 is what I call the effective rate. That's what I work on, the effective rate. I don't care what rates they have on the statement. I don't know what they're paying per dollar. And again, that's nuts and bolts. We'll get into that. But just a quick overview. So he's paying 4.77%. So now he already told me he's not changing. He doesn't change anything. So I approached it like this. I said, hey, Steve, just want to let you know, did they say they changed your rate recently? Because I looked at your statement, and in a nutshell, real quick, you're paying 4.77%. That's not very good. Now, I may be wrong. I might be missing something here. Why don't you send me another statement, because he just happened to send me one from the summer, which is their big month. Let me look at it again and just verify that this is correct information. So I planted in his head that he's kind of getting, you know, the money taken from him, and also didn't put pressure on him to switch anything, right? Because I want him to say to me, what do I got to do to get out of this? Ultimately, that's the goal in sales, just so you guys that aren't salesmen know that you want them to ask you, how do I get out of this? So I just said to him, you know, you're paying 4.7%. I'm lucky because I'm in the industry statement. I can show him my customers doing the same volume, same style of business, retail. They're paying $1,000 in fees. He's paying $3,000. Do you think that's powerful?
Yes.
Yeah. I approach it like this, you guys. I want to leave you with a couple things. I approach it like this. I tell them, you're already getting the service. That's the beauty of selling this or sharing this. You already have my service usually. You're paying $100. I'm going to do it for $80. Let me show you, right? Give the statement to Lucrazon. They'll give you the proposal, and you submit it to them and say, here's what we got. I say to them, what do we do now? I act dumb. What do we do now? Well, you know, whatever. So then I get the business. They come on board. Everything's great. So I just kind of approach it like it's not a sale where they have to, you know, how much money do you have? Can you afford this? No, they're already paying for it. They already have it. So that's the beauty of it. Any more questions real quick?
Yeah. Some people only pick checks. How do you handle it?
Yeah. You know what? That's a great question. Believe it or not, I work with a lot of people like that, and I convert very few of them. You know why? Because they're stuck in their ways. And if they're taking cash and check, it's hard to get them, convince them that 2% is good, right? So I basically just tell them, you know what? I've been told, and I've seen it in my business, your business can increase 30% by taking credit cards. That should cover the 2%. You're lucky you're talking to me, because if you were talking to Wells Fargo, they would charge you 5 because you're new. I'm only going to charge you 2. The same thing I charge a Fortune 500 company. That's how I approach it. That's how I would approach it with Lucrazon. Listen, guys, I don't spend a lot of time. I showed Winston's my portfolio. My average merchant, me as an individual, does 7 times what Bank of America, Wells Fargo, Chase Bank, any of those guys do. My average merchant does $70,000 to $1 million a month. That's small, really, in business world. Some of them are doing $10 million a month. You'd be amazed. So for me, if I qualify people, I say to them, how much, you want me to call you back because Bill's not here to talk to you today? Okay. Let me ask you a quick question. Approximately how much a month do you process in credit cards? I don't know, because they don't. Do you process 10,000? No. More or less? Less. 5,000? No. 2,000? God bless. Have a great day. And only because I want to save them a quarter. I mean, I'll say to them, do you hate the people you're with? Because if you do, I'll help you. But otherwise, I'm only going to save you a quarter. I'm only going to make a quarter. How much time do I really want to spend on them? Do I want to call them every week? Hey, you ready to look at your merchant account? I can save you a quarter. So I qualify people. Generally, myself, I only work with people that do 20,000 more, and even that for me is pretty low. But I work with people that do 5,000 and 10,000. I helped a lady yesterday. She does 5,000 a month, but she's getting hammered by her credit card company. She can't even get a call back. She can't even get a statement of how much she's paying. I help her. I don't know if she doesn't know a whale, and I'm a believer, which I'll give you names at the end, and you'll know why. Not a believer, but a believer that if I give 120%, right? If I give 120% all the time, it will come back to me. You want to call it God, the universe, divine intervention. So that's how I roll in these days. I used to be a competitive salesman. I used to have to beat you guys to the next sale. I used to have the best price. I used to have to say the right things. You know what? I don't. I learned from my mistakes, and I already know things are going to happen. So the more people I talk to, the more gold calls I make, the more information I provide, the more consulting, the more educating, the better salesman I become. Sales tricks don't work anymore. People are too smart. I can go on the internet and find a credit card processor tomorrow that will lie to me. I can give you 5 of them today that will lie to you. That's salesmanship. is now changed. The tricks don't work. Some of the tricks work once you're getting to the closing part, but that's another story for another day. Here's the thing. Qualified people, find out how much they're doing before you call them back over and over and over, right? Tell your brother and your sister, your mom and your dad, look, I'm starting a new venture. I got a suit and tie on today. I want to just look at your statement so I can get used to it. I don't have access to that. I'm not going to steal anything. You can put a black line through your merchant number at the top. Let me just see how it reads. Just show me the categories of the different card types. Let me start looking at it. Get statements, because any trick, I use this one. I like this one. I call somebody on the phone. I'm like, hey, you got a merchant statement handy? Let's look at it real quick. In 5 seconds, I can tell you. What do you pay for a rewards card? You don't know? Send me the statement on the fax right now. I'll get it in to our interchange gurus. They'll give me a proposal. I'll send it right back to you. We'll look at it, and you decide if it's good for your business. Get the statement. Got to get the statement. His question about a cancellation fee. I'll talk about that in a second. What kind of equipment? We have a special proprietary thing. You know what? None of that matters if you don't have a statement, because if they only do $5 a month, who cares what they use? Yeah? I'm just being honest. Yeah? For you guys that are new, go ahead. Correct. So I'm going to address that in just a second. Great question. So everybody hear that again. He's talking about a cancellation notice, and you will hear it once in a while. To help you with that, though, right away, cancellation. First of all, cancellations have gotten tricky, and that's another story for another day. They can be a lot of money, but they average $250 for a smaller merchant. To 3 years. So, but a lot of companies like to use, how do I get over some? Because either you're being sold or they're being sold, right? So what's the easiest way? I'm happy. You are? Okay, why? You know, or I got a contract. How long is it? 10 years. Sorry, God bless. So it's easy for me to get you off the phone. I'm a salesman. I like to mess with people that call me. I can tell right away if they're reading a script. What do I say? Are you reading a script? Study it, learn it. I can tell. You're boring me. Here's the thing. First thing I do when I call people, I get rid of some of those objections. Some of the objections, no matter what you're selling, are always the same. I'm happy. I'm in a contract. I don't want to change. Blah, blah, blah. You know what? Hi, I'm Jim. I know you're probably already happy. You probably got a great rate. But I do credit card processing. I'm registered with Visa and MasterCard, and I can show you how I can help your company reduce your fees and save thousands of dollars a year and change your life so you're driving a Mercedes like your competitor. Boom. What? Okay. Or I'll say, can I talk to the person that handles the interchange adjustments on your merchant account? What? Just the controller or the CFO, just somebody that handles the money. So if you handle some of those objections right away, it's a done deal. Now I can't say I'm happy and get ready. I can't say I got a contract because I already told you you do. I already know that. Now either you're going to give me a merchant statement. Now the next one is, well, I don't have access to it, or I got to talk to Bill, or whatever. Okay, well, Bill will probably be back in a year, a month. I don't know. Is he on vacation? I listen to some people that have taught me a lot. I'm going to give you some names right now. Write these down. Whether you study these or whether you do what I did, I went through a 4-year funk. I was selling credit card processing. 4 years ago, the mortgage industry crashed. How many of you are mortgage people? Wow, that's weird. That's very rare. One in the back. Almost everybody looking for a job today is a mortgage person. Although they're now going back into what? Refining and taking more of our money on the money they already had. I love mortgage people. I have a lot of friends that are in it. But here's the bottom line. They crashed into our industry. They don't know what they're doing. They started calling businesses, acting like idiots. So business owners were getting 500 calls a day. About what? Merchant services. So I would call you. I get these calls all day long. That's another one. I know you get these calls all day long, but so I throw all those in at the beginning, right? Happy, contract, I know you get these calls. So here's what happened. I was making a lot of money, and it was easy. I would call 35 people a day, and I was making tons of money. I was winning trips to Hawaii, Mexico. My company was taking me on them. And all of a sudden, I couldn't sell a fish water. And because I was in the competitive, funny, huh? And because I was in a competitive mode in that time, I was thinking inside myself, trying to figure out what I was doing wrong. Why couldn't, you know what? They could sense it. They could tell it was not working for me. And I was getting more and more discouraged. At the same time, I was going through a buyout of a company, a credit card processor, which I'll share with you in a minute, that was not going to be beneficial to me because I had a lot of freedom at this place, and it was going to change because this big company that was coming in was going to start being corporate. I don't like corporate. I'm a suit, I'm a t-shirt and shorts guy. I'm a beach guy. I'm Orange County native. So I was in a funk for 4 years. I started studying some people, some sales gurus. Brian Tracy, write that down. Most of these guys are on YouTube. Most of them will put you to sleep if you don't have the right heart and the right mind. Brian Tracy, Zig Ziglar, an amazing guy, just passed away a while back. I love that guy like he was my dad. He's a storyteller from beyond. He's amazing. I'll tell you one of his stories before we leave today. Jim Rohn, a huge relationship manager guy who ended up being one of the most sales on Earl Nightingale's one of them, absolutely. The Strangest Secret. A lot of the stuff in The Secret, I'm not a big believer of it because it's the universe, and I don't believe in the universe. I'm a little more channeled than that. But The Secret did a lot for a lot of people. The Secret actually comes from old history. Back in the early 1900s, when the steel workers were getting, the steel was starting to go, and the railroads were starting to go, and air flight was starting to go, it was like it is today, and I'll show you how that relationship is the same today. The gold rush, running out to California to get property. It's all happening right now, folks. You're at the beginning of the wave. It gives me chills just thinking about it. Napoleon Hill, numero uno. Think and Grow Rich. If you haven't already read that book, shame on you. If you haven't read that book, it's not too late. But you need to read that book. He said, Earl Nightingale, The Strangest Secrets, another good one. And one is The Science of Getting Rich, Wallace D. Wattles. You'll read these books, and they're from the early 1900s. And like I said, it'll bore you to death. A lot of this stuff is available on archive.org, and it's available on YouTube. And Napoleon Hill has the keys to success. Napoleon Hill worked for a guy named Andrew Carnegie for 25 years for next to nothing. Andrew Carnegie said to him, I'm going to introduce you to some people. I'm going to give you a handshake. I'm going to pay a couple of your hotel bills. I'm going to introduce you to Ford. I'm going to introduce you to the big money guy now. I forget his name. Not Schwartz, but Schwab. I don't know, 25 or 30 people that ended up being multimillionaires. And he said, I want you to study these people and find out what it is about these people that makes them money. You know what it was? It wasn't school. It wasn't education. It wasn't money. It wasn't anything but the brain. Ford once said, when he was getting questioned about all his stuff, his cars and everything, he said, you know what? These are stupid questions. I don't have to know them. I have people that do. You have Lucas on. Yeah, you don't have to know these questions. And I'm giving you these people's names because they changed my life over the last 4 years. I'm no longer a competitive salesman. I'm a creative salesman. I make my opportunities happen. I made this volunteer here opportunity happen with the right frame of mind and a little bit of knowledge, and it will change your life. This will change your life no matter what you do, and I impress on you to study these guys and study these books, and you will have the best life you could ever have. Now, jump on Lucason's wave is amazing. If you don't do it, then you're not using creative thinking, because Lucas has created an e-commerce platform that's created with a credit card processing platform, and it's all tied in, and it's really an awesome opportunity. You're at the beginning of a wave. I've seen 2 companies get purchased in the last 5 years that I've been affiliated with. One of them just recently went for $420 million, and they don't have the technology that Lucrason has. So you can see what's happening in the credit card processing world. Things are moving. Things are changing. Technology's changing things. You just heard about Target when they're breach, all that stuff. You're protected here. They have a good process. So back to the contract. I didn't leave that alone yet. If they have a contract, I'll buy you out. Let me see if I can save you money first. Give me your statement. Let me do a proposal. If I can save you money, and you can be creative. I've helped companies by offering them money to cover the contract. I've actually given them money to cover the there's some things I've done that I'll share with you that I don't necessarily want everybody to know about that are legal, but nobody knows about them. So why would I want to share that with the competition necessarily, right? So if you ever want to talk to me, you can get through to me through any of these guys in here, and I'll give you some other information. But there are ways around it. Contracts are one of the hardest. If I'm not going to save them a lot of money, they don't necessarily want to break it. So you have to approach that real carefully. But you'll get that in the nuts and bolts stuff when we work with Lucas on. Any more questions? The competitive advantage. Well, I don't know if I can give you 3 to 5 because I'm kind of new here too, but I can tell you the competitive advantage that I know of so far is that you have the ability to price the quote at where you want it versus where a company or a bank or a platform will tell you to price it. If you work for First Data or you work for Chase, they're going to say you can only go to so many basis points, and you have to turn in a certain amount of sales. So with Lucas on, you have the ability to price it where you want. So even if I have somebody, a customer, say at 50 basis points, I have the ability to cut that in half and charge them 25. I make money, they make money, they save money. I say to them, hey, you're at 50, let me split it with you. I get some for my company, you get some for your company, we're all good. That's one. The other one is the all-inclusive program where you get a merchant account, and e-commerce, which we call a shopping cart in the industry, and a gateway, which is authorized.net or all these other gateways that are out there. They have all that integrated, so it's all a one-stop process. Also, from what I'm studying with Lucas on is you have the ability to have your own business of website. So, and again, I'm new kind of too, so I'm still learning a lot of this, but there is definitely a very good competitive advantage, not to mention the fact that they have cutting-edge software of getting a 5-minute approval. It takes me 24 to 72 hours on a good day to get approval with any of the other companies I've ever worked with. So, and that's industry standard. That's not a bad thing. That's just the way that's old school. So that would be a few of the advantages that I would personally know of right now. I'll probably have more in a couple weeks. We'll have that conversation.
How competitive do you get with per item? 20 cents, even 10 cents, it's really not that competitive with like a $50,000 convenience store. You guys get like 5 cents, 2 cents.
Yeah.
You yourself, how low do you get?
So that's a myth too. Basically, and again, these myths are things that people have heard over years and years. So there's nothing wrong with these questions. You guys are asking great questions. Let me answer that one. The transaction fee, as a processor, I can give away a lot of things. You don't want a statement fee? Okay, fine. You don't want a nickel, dime, 20 cents? Fine. You don't want this? That cost me $2? Cool. But I'm going to charge you 16 to 30 to 500 on the other fees. So as long as you don't know, I'll give all that stuff away all day. I don't have a transaction fee. The first thing I say is why? What'd they tell you? Because one, I get to know them better, and two, they don't want to pay it. So you don't want to pay 20 cents. How about if I charge you $1 for this rate and I give you that 20 cents for free? You see? So I always find out why they have what they have, because if they're getting, I'll give away stuff all day long to get more if I can. I do it honestly and ethically, but a lot of these guys don't. So the transaction fee only comes into play if you have a small average ticket. So if $15,000 convenience store doesn't matter unless their average ticket is below $30. And if their average ticket is below $30, again, nuts and bolts, I divide that 10 cents by the average ticket, 35, and it tells me how many basis points, point whatever of a percent they're paying. So on a $15 charge, 20 cents is huge, right? That's where I would play with that nickel a little bit. Again, personally, I don't do business. No, I'm just kidding. But I always charge 20 cents average transaction fee. Always. That covers all my costs. It gives me a little bit of change, and it's not unfair. If they're getting charged 50 cents, maybe I'll charge them 35 cents. But I just want to, on the transaction fees, unless they're doing thousands and thousands of transactions, I just want to cover my costs, because that's not where I'm making a lot of the money. I'm making a lot of the money in the percentage of markup, the 20 basis points, the 40 basis points, the 80 basis points, whatever it is. Yeah, a lot of times they'll give you equipment for free. If you're a good-sized merchant, they'll offer you equipment for free. And that's another thing. They'll say, can you reprogram my terminal? I'm in a lease. I say, you know what, yeah, as long as the lease is with a lease company, nobody cares. I'll just reprogram your terminal as if you own it. Boom, we're done. Yes? I'm pretty sure that's the way it works. I haven't talked to them about, we're still working on some of the knowledge like that, but as far as I understand it, that is the case. They'll send you a proposal, and if it's like 30 basis points. Now keep this in mind, folks, unless they're a brand partner and they're getting an override, then you don't want to charge somebody 75 or 100 basis points. Anybody know why? It's great money. No. What happens if Bill walks in behind me and says, oh my God, they're charging you 75 basis points? I can do it for 35. A lot of people are going to say, well, Joe just told me he gave me the best deal. I don't trust Joe anymore. And by the way, let's go. Now I've lost that relationship. I've lost that merchant account. So I have to keep in mind what the industry is doing at the same time. If they're getting an override and I'm charging them 75 and they're getting 25 back, and that's a whole other conversation for another day, then it's a different story. But in the basic world of credit card processing, I need to price it fairly so that I don't lose that account, because I'm not locked in stone forever with these people. Yeah? Yes. We'll do a couple more here, and then we'll... As far as I understand, we're going to start doing some certification classes, correct? Well, I mean, you can always look at a statement. That's why I'm saying when you get statements, look at them. Look at how the... Right, exactly. And that's what the merchant will say. I know it all. Yeah, sure you do. Show me where you're paying for a rewards card. That's a great one, by the way, you guys. I know everything about credit card processing. First question I ask is, what are you paying for a rewards card? Because my customers know. 1.95 and a dime, 1.65 and a dime. Boom. If they say that to me, ooh, you might be too smart. I might have to call you another day. Not really, but that's the case. Yes, sir. Uh-huh. $1,000. It depends. You know, if they're a really small merchant, see, and I don't know about their processing with terminals and stuff, and the POS system is different. I'm not really sure about all the inner workings. Me personally, in my experience, I'll sell them a terminal for little over cost. I don't have to make a ton of money. I don't believe in leases, because I tell people, look, you could pay me over 4 years, $2,000. See, I do business different in the industry, so I'm really not a good person to ask that kind of stuff, but because I've seen it all. But I make a lot of money, and I keep customers for a long time. So my plan works. I bought the right plan when it comes to that. I didn't buy it when it comes to a lot of things, but I bought it when it comes to that. So, but you can lease terminals. You can give them away. Like if a company's going to pay the terminal back to me in a couple months, I'll give it to them for free, a couple $100, $300-400. So there's a lot of ways to do that, and you'll learn that as you go. Again, you'll be able to get a hold of me, or some of these guys will know that knowledge a little bit better than I do. But yeah, it's always no matter. Listen, here's the bottom line: you got to get a statement from them. If you don't get some statements from them, you're wasting your time, because they might only save a quarter, and you're only going to make a quarter. So who cares? Right? That's the ultimate thing of all these questions. Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so I have a statement here.
Awesome. Bank of America.
Can you give us a general
This is on First Data, by the way. How did I know that? Because I see a million of them. First Data has the platform right here. It shows a dollar amount here that makes no difference at all, because it's last month. And for most people, they don't know what that means. So they submitted 20,000 here. Third-party transactions, which is Amex still, although Amex is starting to become more like Discover, where processors will do it. And then you have your fees charged here of $421, which actually is last month's fees. So some people put last month's fees, and some put this month's fees. So that's why it's difficult to read. What's your question about the statement?
The question is, can you give us a general idea of timeline? Like, for the moment I have this now, I'm going to turn it in.
Mm-hmm.
What is a general timeline?
For me or for Lucrazon?
Well, I know Lucrazon, we're still working on it, but
yes.
for you, like, what has been your experience, so that I have a general idea?
I try to turn them around quick, because I don't want them to have, even though I'm their friend, I don't want the boss to say to Sally, who's my friend, hey, call Joe at the bank. He'll give us a good deal, right? Because as long as I'm the only one playing, it's a lot easier.
So what is that, 2 days?
Whatever you can do. I know Lucrazon right now is working to turn that around. I like to do it within 24 to 48 hours. I don't always call them back and put pressure on them to see me that quickly, but at least I know what I'm dealing with. Now, me personally, I can look at this statement in 5 seconds. I can tell you what I'm going to make and what they're going to save without even looking at all the other rates. Sometimes I have to dig for things to find out why it's so high or whatever, but by calculating an effective rate right here, if they're at 4% and I can put them at 2.5%, I know exactly what they're going to save and exactly how. not exactly, but close to how much I'm going to make within 5 minutes. Now me, I'll say, I don't have the proposal back yet, which I'm doing, but I think looking at it, glance at it, I could probably save you a lot of money. And I ask them some questions about the terminals because I want to know, I want to get to be their friend. What are you using? I want to see how much they're interested in me. If they don't have time to talk to me and learn it, how much time do I want to spend teaching them? Obviously, I want every account, but I'm not going to get it. Jim Rohn uses the word inevitable. I love Jim Rohn, and I use the word inevitable. I'm going to get some deals, and some deals I'm not. Why? It's inevitable. Just like bringing people to these meetings. You talked to Bill yesterday. Bill, you going? He's excited. I'm going to go to the meeting. You get to the meeting. Where's Bill? He's not here. It's 10 o'clock. Bill's still not here. You call Bill when you get home. Bill, what happened? Oh, you know, the dog got sick, and the wife had to go to the store. I had to watch the kids. Bill, how about next week? Yeah, let's do it next week. You call Bill back again. What happens? It's inevitable. But some people are going to show up on time. Some people are going to be interested. Same thing with the merchant services. So I like to find out how much people want to work with me. So I ask them questions, silly questions. What kind of equipment are you using? Is this an average month? How long have you been with your current provider? This all builds trust. It all builds relationship. And then I might call them back and say, hey, I got the numbers. I sent them out a little piece of paper that says I can save you $300 a month. Comes out to $12,000 a year. If you're interested in more information, let's talk. Again, I'm building this do they want to talk to me thing, right? And I decide who I want to work with. I decide who I want to work with. And then I say, oh, by the way, I can save you some money. Let's look at it. Okay. And so all this time I'm touching them, I'm building trust, and I'm becoming a friend. They might still say, you know what, I'm going to stay where I'm at. You're not saving me enough. $2 isn't enough, whatever it is, but that's my belief. So these statements actually are highly complicated because they have a lot of information on here that's not really necessary. It's a convenience. They do it for you to help you. But these are good. Bank of America, First Wells Fargo, a lot of people are on First Data, and so you'll see a lot of those statements. There's a bunch of different setups. There's tier setups. There's all different kinds of stuff. So we'll go into that at another time. And I think, did you guys get a little bit out of this? Yeah? All right. Bottom line is this. Study all those people I told you about today and get statements and send them to Lucrazon. Let Lucrazon do their thing and keep building your business, folks, because you're at the beginning of a wave. And if you surf like I do, you can paddle on a wave and you can catch it and you can ride it a little, or you could be deep in it getting tubed and you can ride it for a long way down the beach. And it's a lot of fun. So thank you for letting me talk.